Once upon a time, there was a girl named Anita. And Anita was a really nice girl with lots of friends, and she loved to play with her friends every single day after school. And lots of them would come over to her house and they'd play like princesses, or they'd ride their bikes together, or they'd jump on the trampoline. And yeah, she also loved to help with chores around the house. She'd help clean up at the end of the day if they made a mess, or she'd help do the dishes. But there was also something very special about Anita. She had a secret power that nobody knew about. She had a special watch with a pink diamond button on it. And when she pressed that button, she would shrink down to the size of a roly-poly or an ant. And so she loved to use this power to do good and to help people instead of just playing tricks on people. And so she was always looking for ways to try and help. But this day was actually the end of the day. Everyone was going to bed, everyone was getting ready. They just had their dinner, and then they played a few games, and then everyone was brushing their teeth. And so she was in the bathroom, and she was brushing her teeth, and looking in the mirror. She smiled in the mirror to see if she cleaned all of her teeth, or if there was any spots on her teeth. Good, all clean. And then she turned on the sink to wash all of her spit down the sink. But when she reached up to turn off the sink, she actually did it with two hands, and one of her hands bumped the watch before she turned the water off. And that made her shrink super small, and she fell into the sink, and she got washed into the hole and down the drain. And so she said, somebody help me. And she washed down the drain and into the pipes in the house, and all the way down into the basement pipes, and all the way down underground where the pipes go to the sewer. And it was scary, but it was also kind of cool. It was kind of like a big giant water slide. So part of her was scared, but part of her wanted to go, wee, this is so fun. So the pipes splashed out in the sewer. The sewer is like a big tube that goes underneath the street. And that's where all of the water that gets washed through our house from the toilet, or from the sinks, or from the showers, that's where all of that gets washed out. So first thing she did was cover her nose. Ew, yuck, this stinks down here. And then she thought, oh, I'll just press my watch and get big again. But then she thought, oh wait, if I press my watch and get big, I'll be bigger than the pipes that I'm actually inside. I'll get squished. And so she said, I can't get big again until I'm somewhere where I'm not stuck in a small pipe. So she realized she had to stay small. So the pipes were washing all of the water down from her house and all of her neighbor's house. But there was a little pathway on the side of the pipe that she could walk on. So she decided, well, the water is all going down to the left, so that's probably the way I should go, because if the water's going down that way, then that probably means that there's a place where it opens and flows out. So she started walking to the left. Walk, walk, walk. Walk, 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 walk. And she walked and walked and walked. And it was super dark. She could hardly see anything down there. So she kept walking, and then she came to a place where there was a bend in the pipe. So she turned to the right and kept walking. And then pretty soon she heard some squeaking. Squeak, 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 squeak. What's that? Squeak, 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 squeak. So she starts sneaking forward, sneak, 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 and she came around another corner, and there were like 10 mice all sitting around, and they were eating little crumbs that they had found that day. One was eating crumbs from bread, the other one was eating crumbs from a pizza, the other one was eating crumbs from a Lunchables, and they were all just going, eating up their little crumbs. And so she said, excuse me, hi, mice? And they all went and looked over at her and said, who are you? Where did that noise come from? And she said, oh yeah, I'm really small, down here, look at me. And so they looked down and they said, is that a talking dot? She said, no, I'm not a dot, I'm a human, but I got shrunk down to the size of an ant. And they said, oh, that's interesting. Well, what are you doing down here? She said, I got washed down the sink and I need to find a way out. That's a big problem you got. Yeah, there's a way out, but it's a long ways. And she said, can you help me find it? They said, yeah, we can. Here, hop on one of our backs. She said, oh, thanks. So she hopped on one of the mouse's back, and it started running down the little pathway. And she said, whoa, this is fun, thanks. And he said, no problem. I can understand that you're scared because you're not in your house anymore and your family probably doesn't know where you are. So the mouse ran and took a left, and then a right, and then a left, and then another left. And Anita could see up ahead there was a little bit of light shining through a little hole in the ceiling. So when the mouse got there, it said, look, that's a sewer hole. That's where the workers open up the hole in the street and they can come down here and fix any of the pipes if they're leaking. So the mouse said, you can climb up there. So Anita said, thank you so much. You're a very nice mouse. I'll make sure to leave out some crumbs for you in front of my house next time so that you can come and get them and have some food. And the mouse said, thanks so much. So Anita hopped up, but now when she looked, she was in the middle of the city. She crawled up through the little sewer cover, and she was in the middle of the road, and there were cars. Honk, 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 vroom, vroom. They were driving all over, and she was in the middle of the road. She said, I can't get big here either, or else I'll get hit by a car. So she was really small and just crawling down on the road, and she'd see a car come, vroom, and then she'd crawl, 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 crawl over to the next lane, and then another car would come, vroom, crawl, 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 and she finally got over to the sidewalk. And she said, finally I can get big. Oh wait, no, I can't, because this is a city and there's lots of people and everyone will see me growing up from the size of a mouse to a real girl, and they'll know that I have a superpower, and I don't want anyone to know. So she said, I've got to figure out a way to get home while I'm still small. And right then one of her neighbors was riding by on their cargo bike. And she said, oh my gosh, that's my neighbor. They're out here awful late because it was dark already. But she said, if I can get on their cargo bike, then I bet they're going home and I'll get a ride. So they stopped the cargo bike right almost in front of her because they were going to a store to pick up a few things to get for groceries. So while they walked in the store, she crawled up on the wheel and into the front bucket of the bike. And she waited and waited, and then her neighbor came out and put their grocery bag in the front and biked all the way home. bike, 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 bike. And when they got home, she hopped out and ran across the street over to her house. And she climbed through a little crack under the door, and then she pressed the button on her watch. And she got big again. And right then, her dad came around the corner and said, Anita, what are you doing down here? We've been looking all over for you. Last thing we saw, you were brushing your teeth and then you were gone. And she said, oh, I don't know. I guess I just walked outside for a second and now I'm back. And her dad said, why'd you do that? And also, you smell like you've been in a sewer. You better take a shower before you go to bed. And she said, oh, sorry. I must have jumped in a smelly puddle or something. So she went and took a shower and then went to bed. And she said, Mom, next time I need to be really careful that I don't accidentally touch the button on my watch.